Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on funding comprehensive and transformative water reforms. My name is Jaroslav Miziak, and I am with Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change. This webinar is organized under the TRANSCEND project, a European funded project under the Horizon Europe, which is running a series of pilot initiatives across the globe. Today, our focus will be on Europe. Before we start and before I introduce our distinguished speaker, I would like to remind you on the points that we that make sure that this webinar is running smoothly. We do welcome the questions during today's webinar. Anytime you might use the question answer facility, and we will get back to your question after the initial talk by our speaker. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Magdalena Rzeczkowska. Magdalena serves as Poland's Minister of Finance from 2022 to 2023, and previously she served as a Secretary of State and Head of National Revenue Administrations. Now she acts as Vice President of the European Affairs at the Federation of Polish Entrepreneurs and serves also as a chair of the Water and Finance Expert Group within Water Europe, which is a leading platform dedicated to building a water smart society. Drawing on the forthcoming European Water Resilience Strategy and the Water Europe White Paper, Magdalena's talk will highlight the urgent need to tackle water stress, pollution, and climate change through strategic investment and innovative financing, as well as governance reform, all topics you have been exposed to if you follow our project. Magdalena will explore how we can embed the value of water into our economies, mobilize both public and private funding, and accelerate the transition towards a truly water-smart society. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Magdalena Rzeczkowska. And Magdalena, the floor is yours. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, Jaroslav, for this kind invitation and for the opportunity for me to speak today to such a distinguished audience and so many stakeholders representing during this webinar. It's really an honor that I can present the work that we do within the Water Europe agenda and with our expert group on water and finance. So warm welcome to all the participants and thank you for attending this event, and thank you once again for having me here. I hope that I will meet the expectations as
sure
you
you
already you already introduced me. I am representing I'm the vice chair of the Federation of Polish Entrepreneurs, and I'm responsible for the European affairs. Water is one of the subjects on our agenda, but water in the federation, we are our goal is to support our members, to support businesses, entrepreneurs, and of course the critical resource as water is one of the priorities on our agenda, because without water we will not have any further development, any economic growth, and the businesses will not be able to do their job, and the societies will not be able to grow and to also to develop. So this is very important. So that's how I found myself also in water, also during because of my finance, a bit of finance experience. So I try to merge this, so the economic need, the needs of our businesses, and the finance and water agenda. Okay, so I would like to, I prepared a presentation for you today, which will focus mainly on what we do in the Water Europe as water and finance expert group, and this will relate to the water resilience strategy, which was announced and accepted by the Commission in June this year. So this will be about, as I said, about Europe. I hope that my presentation will work. We have tested this, so
We can see it now, but
Yes,
not in
I will
presentation
try
now.
to make it. Do you see a full screen?
Yes, now it's
Okay,
perfect. Thank you very
that's
much,
great.
Magdalena.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Let me start a bit about the goals of our expert group on water and finance, because we as an expert group and Water Europe wants to address a fundamental question: how do we finance a resilient, sustainable future for water in Europe? And our group was created in response to a growing recognition that without finance, we can't really deliver the innovation, infrastructure, and collaboration needed to protect our water resources. And we have three main goals. First is to explore innovative finance mechanisms for water-related projects. The second one is to promote investment, especially in underfunded or high-impact areas. And the third one is to connect stakeholders, from policymaker to financial institutions to utilities, all the stakeholders, because only through shared effort we really can unlock change, and we can make business cases which can be then financed by also innovative ways, not only by public with public money, but also with private capital. So we are focused on practical, results-driven solutions, especially in areas like industrial water use, where the financing gap is large and opportunities for innovation are significant. And as a group, we have prepared a white paper on advancing the investment in water resilience. And this white paper was also an answer to the preparatory work for the European water resilience strategy. So our work is very related to what is going on the European agenda. And as I mentioned, from June, we already have a strategic roadmap, which is the European Water Resilience Strategy. And we can still work on the implementation together with our expert group, together with the European Commission. This is what we want to do, and also to realize our goals to make water finance more understandable, more easy to reach, and also to accelerate the investment in water. So let me start with a few words on the European Water Resilience Strategy. As I mentioned, our expert group took active part during the consultation before the acceptance of this important document. And what are the main goals of the European Water Resilience Strategy? So first one is restoring and protecting the water cycle. So it is important, and this strategy is aimed to restore and protect the water cycle from source to sea, to ensure resilience against floods, droughts, and water scarcity. And the idea is to do this mostly by effective implementation of the already existing EU laws for freshwater. So this is not the idea of creating a new regulation, but rather based on what we already have, but make it this also in a very innovative and effective way. The idea is also to adopt water's more smart practices and green infrastructure to improve water retention on land, to prevent water pollution and tackle pollutants in drinking water. And the next goal is building a water smart economy. This is a new expression which appeared in this strategy, a water smart economy, and I will explain this a bit further later. The idea is to provide guidance on how to reduce water consumption and improve water efficiency in the EU. And the goal is to improve the efficiency, water efficiency by 10% by 2030. And the principle water efficiency first is introduced under this strategy. This is a principle similar to water energy, to energy first principle. So this is the direction that the EU wants to go. And of course, the idea is also to reduce leaks in pipes, modernize water infrastructure through public and private funding, and take up of digital solutions. Digital innovation, this is really stressed in the resilience, in the water resilience strategy. The next goal is to ensure access to clean and affordable water for all. So the idea is to raise public awareness by promoting education and the exchange of best practices in saving water and support sound water pricing policies. And education is really, I believe, very important here. The idea is also to reinforce the EU's role in promoting water resilience worldwide through international partnership and cooperation. And of course, for this water resilience strategy, finance and investments, this is an enabling area to pave the way for water resilient Europe. Without significant additional public but also private investments in every stage of water management, progress will be too slow or will lack meaningful impact. Because current EU investments, they reach about 55 billion euro per year, but we face an annual gap of 23 billion euro to meet existing legislation and to adapt to climate change. But I believe that this amount is even higher if we will look at the subject of water governance in a broad sense, like looking at all the industries, agriculture, and of course the water supplies and the climate adaptation. So how finance and investments could enable water resilience according to the strategy? First, through integrated and forward-looking planning. Investments must cover all stages of water management, from capturing rain as green water to restoring blue water for nature, but while considering future climate scenarios and risks. And nature-based solutions and new water technologies should be mainstreamed and supported. I think the good idea is that they are supported by platforms like Blue Invest, STEP for strategic technologies. The next, let's say, enabler is to unlock EU and member state potential. New EU measures that offer EU financing and pre-financing for water resilience projects under dedicated priorities should be defined. We are at the end of the finance perspective, which will end in 27, and the new multi-annual financial framework is being developed, which will be effective from 28 to the 2034, as I remember. So it is very important to work now how we will approach the water financing within the new financial framework. Unlocking the member state potential. Here the key is building administrative capacity, especially in less developed regions, to spend available funds effectively. The major problem is that the money, if it's already there in the EU budget or EU funds, it's not used as efficiently as it could because of the administrative capacity of the EU member states. And especially regional authorities, fragmentation of projects, and so on. So this is really something which is touched upon in the strategy, and I believe this is an important matter here. And there is an idea in the strategy of plug and play pilot projects. So the projects which will allow to connect to the solutions that will be provided by the bigger entities or the EU, like for digital leak detection, smart metering, water reuse, and this plug and play pilot projects idea can deliver fast wins. Of course, mobilizing private capital, this is essential for realizing for building the water resilience. And European Investment Bank Group, this is the largest global and EU, of course, financier in water. The EIB will develop a water program with for the start, let's say, with 15 billion euro in financing during the 2025-2027 period for access, pollution control, resilience, and competitiveness. And the private investment can be scaled, of course, via blended finance, green and blue bonds, water as a service models, and new markets for nature credits. And I will also expand on this later on. Risk management and insurance is also very important. Climate-related disruptions strengthen the business case for water investments, but insurance protection gaps remain. Cooperation with financial institutions and regulators can improve coverage for water-related disasters. Flagship actions that are proposed by the European Commission, you can see them on the presentation in this table. So these are the Green and Blue Corridors Initiative, for storing rivers, wetlands, and coastal ecosystems, integrating nature-based solutions and grey infrastructure. Sustainable Water Advisory Facility. This is the project, the instrument that will support to support technical assistance to develop strong bankable projects, so will increase this administrative capacity of the member states. Roadmap for nature credits, so creating markets to reward ecosystem services and incentivize investments. Water Resilience Investment Accelerator, very important initiative that will be focused to accelerate investment. And I know that the European Commission is working now on how to model this instrument. But in this water resilience strategy, we can see that the idea is to have 20 innovative pilot projects for natural water retention and efficiency, connecting investors, innovators, and communities within this tool. And these flagship actions are designed not just to finance water resilience, but to enable it. So to turning policy ambitions into tangible results across Europe. During the work on the EU water resilience strategy and all the discussions, roundtables, it was clear that financing will be a key topic and will be an enabling pillar. And that is why Water Europe and Water and Finance Expert Group that we decided to deliver white paper on investment in water resilience. The context is clear because across Europe we face mounting of water stress, pollution, and the impacts of climate change, and these threats are growing, and yet investment in water systems remains fragmented, inconsistent, and often they are too reactive. And the European Commission's new water resilience strategy is very timely, and this is a crucial step forward. And our expert group's work began as the strategy was being finalized. And we were fortunate to contribute through participation in Commissioner Groswell's roundtable on financing water resilience. And the question raised during that roundtable directly inspired the white paper. And our goal within the white paper, but also for further work, is to identify financing and policy solutions to support the water resilience strategy with a focus on mobilizing capital and removing investment barriers. Let's start from elaborating a bit, not maybe start, but continue with elaborating a bit on water smart economy. This is the concept that is mentioned in the water resilience strategy as one of its goals. And a water smart economy, this is the economic pillar of a water smart society. So it is a system that recognizes water as a strategic resource. As a resource which is essential for innovation, for productivity, and sustainability, embeds the value of water across the economy in production models, investment strategies, public well-being, and makes circularity the norm. So recovering and reusing water, energy, and materials across sectors should be a norm. And it uses digital tools to monitor and manage water more intelligently and creates market incentives to reward efficiency and sustainability. A water smart economy, it's also resilient, so it should anticipate and absorb shocks like droughts, floods, pollution through adaptive infrastructure, coordinated governance, and cross-sector collaboration. Finance and investments, one of key enablers to achieve water smart society and economy. And finance is the engine behind this vision. But today, funding gaps are still holding us back. Across EU member states, lack of funding is one of the most cited barriers to meeting environmental and water objectives under EU law. And when we talk about a water smart economy, which goes beyond environmental protection to include industrial productivity, public health, or innovation, the financing needs are even greater. And we need a paradigm shift here from reactive fixes to strategic long-term investments, and from fragmented budgeting to holistic financial planning grounded in data and in the stakeholder engagement. Unlocking financing and addressing investment needs is key to unlock the full value of water in Europe, and the full value of water needs to be recognized. In white paper, we set our key actions to unlock financing and turn the water resilience strategy into the reality. And let me say in the next part about these key actions that we identified to address the investment needs related to strengthening our water resilience. You can see all them mentioned in this slide, but I will go one by one on the following slides. So, the first key action, it's defining and measuring water resilience. So our first challenge is really a conceptual one. What does water resilience really mean? We need to know this. Because without a clear definition and without measurable endpoints, it is difficult to plan, to invest, or to track progress. Most regions, they lack, we call it thrive thresholds. So the points at which water systems can sustain economic and ecological health. And the local data we need on supply, on demand, and on the risk. And the local data is often missing or is inconsistent. So it is difficult to say what is this thrive threshold, what is really the sustainable use of water, what is really the resilience if we lack comprehensive and consistent sets of data. How to make informative decisions without the proper data. And this makes resilience planning a bit of a guesswork. It also undermines efforts to link financial materiality with water performance. So we must invest in data systems and indicators that define and measure resilience at the basin level, and only then we can start aligning finance with meaningful outcomes. The second key action is to understand and to monetize water risk. So resilience improves as risk declines. But many organizations don't yet account for water risk properly. They do not recognize a water risk as they probably should. Industries face three main types of risks: physical, like droughts, floods, contamination; reputational, and regulatory. And these risks are shared because water is a communal resource. So that means your resilience depends on your neighbors. And basin level coordination here is critical. We also need to quantify this risk financially. And tools like science-based targets for water and others, they help companies align usage with environmental limits, making water risk investment relevant. And more investors are using water metrics in decisions, and this is a good sign, and we must continue mainstreaming this. The next action, recognizing the value of water. Very important one, because water is a strategic asset, but it's still undervalued in a financial decision, but also in policies. And we must reflect the true cost of water in prices. This is the one side of the coin. So there is a need for a shift towards accounting of water for the purposes of ensuring that the pricing reflects its full economic, social, and environmental value, and that water is managed, allocated, and protected effectively. It is important also to internalize water risks in financial markets to ensure investors recognize water scarcity and climate-related water stress as really material risks. Adopt efficiency standards across industries, agriculture, urban development, and also to develop water positive investment frameworks that tie returns to measurable water improvements, for instance, such as reduced consumption or ecosystem restoration. And this mechanism can help incentivize private capital to support the transition. And the fourth action is to integrate water resilience objective into the EU taxonomy regulation and also reporting. It was a lot about data measurements, so it is really important to have this data somewhere also in a structured way. And the EU taxonomy currently focuses on climate change mitigation and adaptation, but water resilience as an economic activity deserves equal recognition. By including water positive activities like wetland restoration, aquifer research, and reclaimed water use, we can unlock capital through green finance instruments. But without robust, comparable, and widely available data, the financial sector will still struggle to support the water transition. And in transition plans, we have carbon decarbonization, but we still lack water as part of equation. Water must be seen not just as a climate issue on the other side, but it must be seen also as a pillar of competitiveness, cohesion, and security. Nowadays, water competes for budget with other priorities like defense or energy. And this is also due to the fact that it lacks a dedicated investment roadmap or strategy. Water resilience strategy being a flagship policy response to escalating water risks across Europe is a historic opportunity for this shift. Fifth action, develop an EU investment gap analysis for water resilience. So to know what is needed to be financed and to set up a priorities, you need to know what a gap really is. So we urgently need a comprehensive gap analysis across sectors, similar for those analyses that are already there for energy or for transport. And this analysis should identify where funding shortfall exists, what are cost benefits and opportunities related to cost benefit, and sectoral and also sectoral priorities. So especially for agriculture, for urban infrastructure, for industrial water systems, what are the sectoral priorities? It must also include nature-based solution, of course, reclaimed water infrastructure upgrades and digital water system and so on. So this must be really a comprehensive gap analysis with a priorities set up for the financing and for the actions to be taken. Next one is to frame water resilience as a strategic and cross-cutting investment priority. So water needs to be mainstreamed across all the reporting, regulation, and sustainable finance frameworks, but also in the environmental regulations, not only those which relate to water, but also, like, for instance, industrial emissions directive. It might also be beneficial to embed water resilience in the EU climate and circular economy funding mechanisms and link water resilience investments to the water energy nexus, making them more attractive to climate finance mechanisms. Especially this water energy nexus is important because it may provide more benefits for the financiers to find a business case for not only for water, but for water and energy. And this mainstreaming effort should rest on the development of a quantified EU-wide investment gap analysis, as I said, for water resilience, akin to investment needs assessments conducted for decarbonization or for energy systems. The next action is to improve EU funding for water as a key resource. So an adequate level of funding within the EU's multi-annual financial framework shall be secured for water that should not compete with other priorities, such as defense or economic competitiveness, as the water is fundamental to both security, including defense, and to economic resilience. It would be optimal to create maybe a dedicated water transition fund to accelerate the deployment of innovative water smart technologies and to optimize water infrastructure to address current and future challenges. It is important to increase transparency of financial opportunities and enabling key stakeholders such as farmers, industrial actors, investors, property developers, and local and regional authorities, of course, to better mobilize public-private partnerships. Water infrastructure, I already mentioned several times, water is essential for security and for resilience. And recognizing water as infrastructure critical for both, for security and for resilience, and ensuring the continuity of supply and operation for society, for agriculture, for industry, this would also mean a prioritization of investments. Next action 8, strengthen water resilience in corporate and public finance. So to strengthen this aspect of water resilience in corporate and public finance, we propose to require water-related disclosures in corporate reporting, like for CapEx, water risk exposure, to create tax incentives and private-public partnerships models for water-efficient investments, and also promoting collaboration between utilities, tech providers, and industries to co-develop smart solutions. This public-private cooperation for water smart solutions, this really should be supported. And the cooperation is a key for water, I believe, both for designing projects, but also for finding economic benefits to get a proper financing. Action 9, enhance project preparation support. So project size and preparation and all the requirements are the major barriers because water is fragmented and the governance is fragmented. And we recommend, therefore, to expand technical assistance at the regional and municipal level. And the water resilience strategy already provides for this advisory instrument. So I believe that it will be much of a help here. It is also important to think about the European Investment Bank or the EBRD, so the development bank's platforms that could aggregate smaller projects into investable pipelines, and to support, and it's important to support blended finance approaches, especially for innovation and high impact projects. And private investors, they need clarity, they need scale, and they need de-risking mechanisms. It is very important. So the transparency, the data, and all the supporting mechanisms are really important here, and in the financial models also. And it is important to promote, in my opinion, to promote blue finance, like blue bonds, water link loans, to attract sustainability capital to the sector. So what can be done to promote private investment in water infrastructure? Because private capital, as I mentioned, is essential. The needs are so big and the amounts so they are big for Europe that only with a union budget or a country budgets, it's not possible to state budgets, it's not possible to do this. So private capital is essential, but right now water infrastructure is still not seen as an attractive investment. This is changing, but still it's not mature enough. And why? Why is that? Because projects are often too small, too fragmented, and perceived as high risks. And so how can we change this? First, I think via standardization and bundling. We must standardize project design and documentation and bundle smaller initiatives into larger investment vehicles. In this will make projects more predictable, scalable, and appealing to investors. There is a great role for development banks, institutions like I mentioned, EIB or EBRD or national development banks. They have a critical role, because they could offer climate adaptation envelopes and, for instance, under EIB climate priorities. They could provide equity, venture capital, and concessional finance to scale innovation. They could anchor green and blue finance investments like water-themed bonds or pooled investment vehicles, and then they can support cross-border investments aligned with water, energy, and climate goals. And also what is important is to disclose and signal through reporting. So use the reporting standard as frameworks to mandate disclosure of water-related CapEx, to report on water efficiency targets, and to signal investments, risk, and opportunities for sustainable water use. And when I talk about the reporting, it's not about the increasing bureaucracy, but this is doing this because the data is crucial and the knowledge is crucial. So reporting is needed, but it must be done in a very smart way, not increasing burdens for stakeholders, but being a simplification, but still very needed tool for also for financial institutions, for investors to make good investment decisions. The next element is to enhance legal and fiscal incentives. It can be through expanding state aid exemptions to enable public-private partnerships, especially in shared infrastructure, using pricing reforms to reflect the true cost of water use, update the EU Green Bond standard to explicitly include water-related projects. Blended finance and blue bonds already mentioned. It can be EU funds can be applied to the risk high impact projects via guarantees, subordinated debt, and equity. And once more, I will stress that promoting blue bonds and blue loans under robust EU frameworks, this will focus directly on water ecosystem and should receive marketing and policy support. It is also worth to explore innovative models for financing to encourage such models like water and ESCOs, so water performance-based services, but water and energy based on energy savings, for instance. This is this ESCO model. Impact investing tied to water outcomes and public-private models with co-financing and shared benefits. Innovation is yes, how to unlock financing for new technology upscaling, because innovation in water tech is vibrant, but many promising solutions, they never reach scale. And why? Because there is so-called valley of death and the gap between research and development and commercial deployment, and how to fix this valley of death. So first, to support technology at the technology readiness level 6 to 9. In this regard, it is good to align Horizon Europe and the Innovation Fund and InvestEU and future tools to fund water technologies as they move from pilots to market. We propose a dedicated inter-program coordination body under the Water Resilience Strategy to align priorities and funding cycles. This is important to recognize water tech as strategic also, like in the Net Zero Industry Act. This regulation should include water technologies as strategic, and these are critical because they are critical for decarbonization, circular economy goals, and resilience. And this designation would accelerate permitting, would enable preferential procurement, would unlock investment incentives. And stable demand via regulation. This is also important. The regulation is already there for water in Europe, and not only for water. And we should use the demand side drivers that are already in the urban urban wastewater treatment directive, water reuse regulation, and others water dedicated regulation, but also other EU laws to create predictable demand for water tech. And this will encourage definitely private investment. To scale via procurement and blended finance. So it would be good to launch EU-wide innovation procurement programs and combine grants and equity through blended finance tools like in Life, EIB Venture Debt, InvestEU, and also for future initiatives here. And encourage co-investment by public institutions and venture capital private equity funds to commercialize breakthrough technologies. It is also good to think about the municipalities as early adopters, because public infrastructure, especially municipal utilities, wastewater treatment plants, they should pilot emerging technologies. They are a good proof of concept or testing fields, and we recommend innovation adoption targets in public investment plans, incentives for being a test bed, support for public-private partnerships with startups and SMEs, and quite important, water as a service models. We think that enabling the water as a service models where users pay for treated water and not for infrastructure will reduce CapEx burdens, will support decentralized systems, and will attract private operators and innovators. So it's worth to consider this direction. And to support SMEs, because small firms, they drive much of Europe's water innovation, and we need to offer patient capital for them, connect them to cross-border pilots, ensure visibility via public procurement, allocate a share of AIB and EU climate funding, especially to water SMEs. If we want a water smart and resilient Europe, we need to turn policy ambitions into concrete investable actions. And here's our call to action. So first, elevate water resilience in EU and national policy. Water must be recognized as critical to economic, environmental, security resilience, and fully embedded in climate and circular economy strategies, in the competitiveness frameworks, in a strategic investment planning, and it is important to conduct a robust, as I mentioned, robust EU-wide investment gap analysis. We need a clear picture of how much is needed, where the gaps are, and what sectors and technologies must be prioritized. And this is essential for both, for budget planning and for private sector mobilization. Strengthen project preparation and technical assistance. Local authorities and small utilities, they lack resources to develop bankable projects, and we need to expand technical assistance programs, build project pipelines, support aggregation, and create a shared toolbox for feasibility studies and, for instance, for risk modeling. It is important to foster stakeholder collaboration and awareness. We often hear that the money is there, but so why isn't it being used? And the answer lies in gaps in governance, in regulatory uncertainty, and the lack of coordinated local engagement. So let's build capacity, let's build trust, awareness, so water projects can compete effectively for investment. The next one is to develop standardized metrics for impact and investment. Because investors need clarity. So what counts as a water resilient project? How do we track impact? And we need EU endorsed standards for water impact the same way we have them already for energy efficiency or carbon savings. I would like to close my presentation with a short information about the first delivered flagship action under water resilience strategy. This is the roadmap towards nature credits that has been presented by the European Commission in July. And is being consulted at this time with stakeholders. So this is a very fresh document. Under this roadmap, nature is of course recognized as strategic asset for the EU economy. It underpins food production, water security, climate resilience, overall competitiveness. Current biodiversity loss they poses both economic risks and financial risks for businesses, for investors, and public funding, of course, alone is insufficient to bridge the biodiversity financing gap. So private investment is essential. So the goal of the document is to complement public funding with high integrity, voluntary market-based tools to finance biodiversity protection, restoration, and sustainable ecosystem management. So this is the goal for not only for document, of course, but for nature credits as a tool. And the principles are the transparency, scientific robustness, governance, safeguards, inclusiveness, and alignment with EU and global biodiversity goals. This roadmap should integrate, be integrational, let's say, so align with existing EU policies and standards. For example, organic farming scheme, carbon farming methodologies, or nature restoration regulation. And also the idea is to leverage EU's strong regulatory framework to become a global leader in nature credits. But this is the start of the work and of the road there to get there. In the presented document, the European Commission defines nature credit as a unit of verified, measurable biodiversity gain derived from a certified independently verified action beyond legal obligations, issued through a two-step process. So first, certification, so independent verification that an activity meets agreed high-quality biodiversity standards, and the second is crediting, so conversion of observed and verified biodiversity improvements into tradable units, and can be used to reward, nature credit can be used to reward landowners, farmers, foresters, fishers, conservation managers, local communities for going beyond legal requirements in protecting or restoring nature. Based on principles such as additionality, measurability, permanence, transparency, and avoidance of double counting. This is very important. And buyers could include businesses, public bodies, financial institutions, or individuals. For instance, via voluntary contributions or procurement schemes. And how the process looks like. So first, projects are planned, implemented, and independently certified if they deliver these biodiversity effects. And continuous monitoring is very important, that ensures results and that results are real and lasting. And credits are issued progressively as results are verified, and credits can be traded or used for corporate sustainability reporting, for public procurement, or for voluntary contributions. And this nature credit is designed to integrate with EU standards and avoid greenwashing, double counting, or conflict of interests. What are the proposed actions under this roadmap for the years 25-27? Very important is that European Commission wants to establish an expert group, an EU expert group on nature credits, to gather expertise, to share best practices and guide methodologies and governance. This group will be inclusive, the membership will be inclusive, consisting of policymakers, scientists, SMEs, farmers, local communities, NGOs, and investors. And international engagement is also provided, market assessment, seed finance, and for 25, for 26, and 27, you can see the further actions provided here. I am speeding up a bit because I already used too much time. The slides will definitely be shared with you, or the presentation. This is recorded, so you can get back to this. But as a closing remark, I would like to stress that I really believe the resilient water future is within our reach if we treat water as the strategic asset as it truly is. And so let's commit to financing and delivering solutions that protect our ecosystems, that empower communities, that strengthen Europe's resilience in the face of the climate change. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Magdalena. It was an incredibly rich and insightful presentation. So it contains a number of excellent points and a number of guidance points, right, that are useful for our audiences and our pilots to look into how to design the reform. That was just like at the back for the looking at the nature credit. I recognize that we are looking at the nature as a service in a similar way, like the water as a service that you mentioned before, as the key recommendation of the white paper. I would like to invite the audience to post a question in question and answer. Anything you would like to address, please post it there. We will pass it to our speaker. But as you do so, I would like to start posing the question to Magdalena. And let's start from the first one. You mentioned that the white paper notes that there's no clear definition or measurement framework for water resilience. And from your perspective, what are the most promising approaches to ensure water's strategic value is fully recognized in finance and policy?
Thank you very much for this question. I think that yes, you are right that we think that this definition needs to be there, and to also to construct a measurement framework for water resilience. The key aspects here, I think, is to value water as a strategic asset. I mentioned this several times in my presentation. So we should move towards full cost accounting of water, reflecting its all aspects of its value: economic, social, environmental value, and encourage water positive investment frameworks where financial returns are tied directly to improvements in water sustainability. So this will go to see this value and accounting for water. We need also to integrate water into broader economic and security agendas. I also mentioned that water is important not only for environment, for climate, but this is security, this is competitiveness, this is cohesion. If it needs to compete with any other agendas or policies, it needs to compete on equal footing. With energy, with defense, and in policy and in funding. Because without water, you cannot talk of defense also. Water is everywhere, really. And data is really important. Standardized metrics, frameworks. So this data will be crucial for the definition of the water resilience, because if you will know how much water you have, how much water you need, and what challenges you tackle, then you can design the proper definition, and also to know what really efficiency is and how to build the targets for efficiency.
Brilliant answer. Thank you very much. Now you you touch upon that again in your presentation, but also in your answer. So we see the shift of the European policies towards security and competitiveness and so on. And you highlighted the white paper is definitely underscoring that the water security, water resilience should be framed in terms of security and the competitiveness, which is very clear. On the other hand, the white paper also establishes that there are competing priorities, right? And the water investment will probably need to deal with that. Energy in the first place. So what concrete steps would elevate water resilience as a cross-cutting investment priority at the European level?
Yes, this is true, and we are in a very important moment at the time because the new financial European financial
Right.
multi-annual financial framework is being discussed, and these discussions, as we see, will not be an easy one, and and water will compete with during these discussions with many other also important elements. So, but I really believe that a lot has been achieved already because we in the EU we already have a commissioner responsible for water resilience. We already have a water resilience strategy. First time, as far as I remember, the water is on the agenda and is in the Commission policy goals as one of the strategic topic. So the priority is already there. Now the work is important to and the discussion to really dedicate financial instruments for water in the new multi-annual financial framework. It's not that maybe the water must be the only recipient of the funds, but it really needs to be there together with energy, together with other critical investment. And as I said, this EU-wide investment gap analysis is important because whenever we talk that we need money, we need to really specify for what are the priorities and how we would like to achieve this, because the money is there, but it is also important how to frame this and to give this certainty that this money is not wasted, yes, and that the goals are really achieved and the progress is there and this water resilience is increasing. So yes, this would be my answer.
Excellent. We have a question, another question from the audience connected to that, and it's very practical. So we have been looking at the water in your presentation, particularly as a resource. The question is looking at the water as a threat, right? Will it be possible to draw funds that from the instruments that you have mentioned to fund flash flood warning system?
Yeah, I don't really know if I understand what is the flash
Flash flood
warning.
is you have an extreme precipitation event that is generating extreme volume of surface runoff, and that it's suddenly flooding the cities and so on,
Okay.
right? It's not a riverine flood, right? The riverine
Yes.
flood, you would have a build-up of the flood wave that takes hours or days,
Yes,
but
yes, I
flash
understand.
floods
Yeah.
is
Okay.
occurring within
Yeah.
hours.
This is that instant, very long.
Instant
Okay,
flood, right?
sorry, sorry
No
for that.
problem. Yeah, no, this is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, I think what we in our work and in this white paper, but also in our work, we do not focus on a concrete water event or water need. We focus as a first stage on water in industry, but we will cover hopefully other needs and other events, because these are all interconnected. But I believe that everything is there and should be covered by the proper financing mechanisms. This is a critical issue. This it's happening more often lately in Europe and in other parts of the world. The idea is that to construct the finance, it is very important to have a good business case and to first define what we want to do, what stakeholders need to be engaged, and then also to try to think about what kind of financing you can attract. And the best way is to blend public funding in case of the EU funding with a private element. But I think that this event, this what we are talking about, this flash beds, this is really a part of the climate adaptation agenda also, because this is the event that, as I understand, this is the event that is caused mostly by climate change. So this also needs to be seen as a part of this area.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Magdalena, for that. I see there is a hand raised from among the audience, and I see Benedetta, you would like to ask the question directly. I will unmute you, and you can step in. Benedetta, your hand is raised. You are muted. You need to unmute first. Okay, apparently that might have been a mistake. We have another question, which is all lengthy question. I will try to make it a little bit shorter, and this is does the white paper look into innovative technologies like satellite-based metering and transparency, right? You mentioned digital water as the basic technologies as a complementary information to collect the information that is needed to manage efficiently the water in agriculture and elsewhere.
Yes, the white papers of a more general nature. So we do not look into a specific technologies or specific solutions. But we, of course, the part of the innovation part and digital technologies, metering tools, all the satellite monitoring, everything which will help to collect data and to build a proper knowledge about the priorities and also about about the efficient use of water is very and accessibility of water is very important for every investment decision. But it is worth to see also that in the water resilience strategy, EU water resilience strategy, this technology innovation and is very important, and the European Commission will focus on the accelerating the investment and use of the digital tools to make water governance more mature and to solve the problems the challenges that we face. And in the water resilience strategies, it is also stressed that Europe is a leader in the technology in water, and we have the highest amount of patents in the world. So definitely this is the way to go, but these are tools for achieving the goals. Very important tools.
Brilliant, thank you for that. And the final question is tapping into your personal knowledge within perhaps within Poland, or if you would like to mention something in other country, something that you a inspirational example of interesting reform of funding, or examples in which you came across that you might pick up as demonstrator of how these principles could be translated into practice.
Okay, this is, I will maybe use one of the examples that was shared with our expert group during one of our meetings. This is an example from Belgium. I hope that I will not, I will make it a bit general. So what is really important with creating a business case for water is the cooperation of different stakeholders in the region, because water is local, yes, and there are different users. And when they they connect their needs, they can create a good business case for investment. And the good example is, as I mentioned, from Belgium. There we had the issue of the water scarcity on one side and the needs of the agri-food processor company, a very big company, and farmers from the region that used water, and water was the supply of water is not constant and stable nowadays. On one hand, the water agri-food processing company, they saw that they can store a part of water that is already used by them, and they can make it accessible for the farmers through the water storage buildings, basins, and farmers, on the other hand, would be interested in innovative technologies for irrigation of their fields from these reservoirs of the company. And they merged their efforts, and the financing model was built based on one hand on the loan for the company, which was easier because this is the big entity with the credit history, and for farmers that they agreed to pay for water, and they already seen that it can be a saving in costs and more efficient than their current practice that they use water from canals or from the wells individually. That will give them security for the proper irrigation, but also for better production, increase in production. So this is, and really the finance in water should be seen through the context on a case by case and business cases that differ, and regions differ, their needs differ. But there are examples, very positive ones, and we should work on, I think, accessibility of this good of the knowledge of these good practices, good examples that others can use and can follow the way that already were practiced and is working.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Magdalena. We are receiving more questions. Unfortunately, we don't have any time to cover those, but we will share them with you as a feedback. Thank you very much for having been with us. Thank you for the many insightful recommendations for our colleagues, for our stakeholders, for our pilot leader, how to design and what to learn from European comprehensive reform towards water resilience. We hope to see you at one of our next conferences. We will keep you informed and invite you to our final conference, probably to Brussels. So thank you so much, and yeah, thank you to everybody in the audience. As you know, we will now stop the recording. We will stop also this webinar. We will close the system, and you will be able to reconnect to the ongoing Webstival in 1 minute. You will find also the instruction how to get that done in your email and in the chat. So we will close this meeting now, the open one, and we will turn to our Webstival of the project and continue our discussion. Thank you very much, Magdalena. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you in a minute. Bye-bye. Thank you.